What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to another beer review, and today I'm going to be reviewing a beer from the Fatheads Brewery out of Middleburg Heights, Ohio, and this is their Head Hunter IPA. So this is a West Coast-style IPA, comes in at 7.5% alcohol by volume and 87 IBUs. And they have a bit of a spiel on here. If you guys want to read it, I'll let you read it. I'm not going to read it to you, mostly because it's on the side of the bottle. I'll leave it here for a couple seconds. You can give it a go. They are brewing this with Columbus, Simcoe, and Centennial hops. Here are some of the awards that they have won in the past. And it was bottled on 5/21/18, which should show up right there. How do I get it out of the way? Oh my God. There we go. 5/21/18. So yeah, this is the staple at Fatheads. This is their year-round staple that people love. If you go back 5+ years ago, this, I don't want to say it was a whale, but this was a highly sought-after beer. People would travel from all over to buy cases of it. It was one of those West Coast-style IPAs on the East Coast, the Midwest, whatever you want to call Ohio, technically, that people would clamor for and get hyped about. Full disclosure, I've had this beer before quite a few times, and so, you know, I kind of know what to expect, but I wanted to give it a proper review. I also want to give a shout-out to my cousin, who actually went, he went with a few of his friends to I think it was Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA, Cleveland versus Boston. So it was the Cavs and the Celtics, and while they were there, they went to Fatheads because they all like craft beer, and a couple of them, they love this beer. So anyway, he brought me back a couple bottles of this and a couple bottles of their Bumbleberry, which I'll be reviewing in the future. So Fatheads itself, I've been to the brewery in Middleburg Heights, Ohio. Nice location. It's in an industrial section. It's a nice little brewery, though. A lot of cool beers on tap from them. I've been to the brew pub in North Olmsted, Ohio, plenty of times. Awesome food, great atmosphere. They actually started off as a saloon in Pittsburgh, PA in the early 90s. And they also have another location in the Canton, Ohio area, which I've never been to. They also had a Portland, Oregon brew pub that apparently closed down a few months ago, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I think the owner of the brew pub out there is changing to something that's not Fathead. So anyway, I haven't had this beer in a couple years. Listen, I'm always honest with you guys. I actually had this beer a couple weeks ago during the Beer Flow show over on Rod J, his Rod J Beer Ventures, every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I actually had this on the show, so I'm reviewing it now, but again, I've had it so many times before, I kind of know what to expect. Anyway, let's crack it open and get it into glass, see what we got going on. As you guys can see, the cap here, it has the Fatheads cap, another classic cap. I'm going to use the Great Lakes Brewing Company 25th anniversary glass, just because, hey, they're out of Ohio, albeit they're out of Cleveland, Ohio, and I like this glass. So let's give it a proper pour and see what we got going on. Pour about halfway. So this pours out like your classic old school West Coast IPA. Has this nice orange, almost bronze color to it. Quite filtered. A little bit of haze to it. About a finger of an off-white head. Soapy looking. Pretty good carbonation. Nothing special from the looks of it. It looks like so many West Coast style IPAs. So many old school IPAs. But yeah, that's what they look like, and it plays the roles. It's a perfect appearance. Anyway, let's get a nose on it. So with this beer being, again, this was bottled on 5/21/18. Today is about just over 3 weeks since this beer was bottled. Despite whenever I post this, today is what? June 12th, I believe? June 13th? Whatever it is. It's about 3 weeks, just over 3 weeks old. So pretty damn fresh. Yeah, it has the classic West Coast style notes to it. Big blast of pine up front, some, grapefruit, like a grapefruit rind or like a white grapefruit. A little bit of maybe like a navel orange. A hint of pineapple. Definitely a decent malt base, slight like caramel malt going on. Maybe a touch of earthiness touch of dankness. This one's really all about the pine, all about the grapefruit. It plays the role of a West Coast-style IPA to a T. Stylistically, so far, this is spot on. So let's get a taste. Cheers. Yeah, I mean, as a great man once said, it is what it is. Right up front, one thing I'm noticing with this beer is drinking so many New England style IPAs in the past couple years that I have, and especially recently, this has a bit more carbonation bite to it, very spritzy on the tongue. So first and foremost, body, medium to higher side of medium bodied, has a decent heft behind it, decent viscosity. The mouthfeel itself, crisp, relatively clean. I mean, there's not a lot of lingering bitterness or flavors. Pretty refreshing overall. Yeah, as I'm drinking it, there isn't too much bitterness. A lot of people didn't like West Coast style IPAs back in the day because it did have a substantial bitterness, and nowadays with New England styles, like people get bitterness, they kind of freak out sometimes. But yeah, body mouthfeel, very nice for the style. Flavors, pretty much the nose carries over to the taste. Big pine up front. If you're not a fan of pine, Chris on the 10th, I know you're not a big fan of pine, you would not like this one. It's not overbearing pine, but it is the predominant note. And then there's more of that white grapefruit peel, a little bit of like a navel orange going on, a very slight touch of pineapple. It finishes semi-dry. Like I said, slightly bitter. It does have like a nice. When I said clean, I meant clean as far as probably like an IPA like this would go, not clean like a lager. There is a slight bitterness on your palate after you continue to drink this, but it doesn't build up like a lot of other beers, especially West Coast style IPAs that I've had in the past. It kind of has a light, subtle bitterness to it. So what can I say about this beer? It's extremely well made. If I was to rate this to style, and I don't, but if I was, and I always say that and then I do, right? I give it a rating for style. Fuck it. We'll rate it for style. If I was to give this a rating for a style that is the West Coast style IPA, this would easily get a 4.5 out of 5, maybe even a 4.75 out of 5. That's how well made this is for a West Coast style IPA. For my personal preference, I've had this beer plenty of times before, like I said, and I enjoy it, but it doesn't blow me away. There are people that used to travel, hours upon hours to grab this beer, and there probably still are people out there. So for those people, that's awesome that you like this beer. If you like this style, this beer, I can see why you would come from wherever to grab this, or whenever you pass through the Ohio area in which this gets distribution pretty much throughout, I think, the majority of the state of Ohio. So I get why people would clamor for this. If you like this style, then I can see why. But for me, West Coast style IPAs were never really my favorite, but I do enjoy them. To make a long story even longer, I'll just say this. My personal preference for my rating system, which again, it only matters for me, right? It doesn't matter for you guys what I'm rating it. But for me, this gets a 3.75 out of 5. It's well made. It's really good for the style. It's exceptional for the style. But for me, just a good beer. I enjoy it. Nothing wrong with it. Anytime anybody brings me back a couple bottles, I always drink them because, A, I appreciate that they pick some up for me and were thinking about me. That's awesome. But also because it is a good beer, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and I do enjoy it. I just don't enjoy it to maybe the levels that other people do. So that was the Fatheads Head Hunter IPA. And I give it a 3.75 out of 5, and for style, like 4.5, maybe 4.75 out of 5. If you guys have ever had this beer, let me know. Post something in the comments. You can like, comment, subscribe, do everything, all of it. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, whatever you need to do to keep keep watching the channel. I hope you guys do. And until the next review, I'm out of here. Cheers.